Mr. Chairman, first and foremost, I must applaud the Leader of the House for having brought this very important and resolution, which we deem to be a historic event. And also, I would like to submit here a few thoughts which I believe can strengthen the resolution by incorporating one paragraph which will make sure that, as a wise man has once said, some doors are not meant to be closed. They are meant to be welded shut. Those doors require to be welded shut. And to do that, I think it is only important, vital, that we reflect on what we had learned while we were in college. John Seeley had said, "Political science without history has no roots. History without political science has no fruits." Sir, it is incumbent upon me to draw the attention of this House that we have a peculiar constitutional position as the Khasi community. The 25 Khasi states had acceded to India through the instrument of accession. However, at no point of time had these Khasi states ever signed the instrument of merger. The constitution that we swear by, sir, was adopted in 1949 and was made enforceable from January 26, 1950. But prior to that, between the years 1947 and 1948, 25 Khasi states had acceded to the dominion of India. There is a lot of difference between accession and merger. And I'd like to make a pointed reference to para 2 of the instrument of accession, which says, and I quote, "With the exception of the following 3 subjects, all the remaining administrative functions would be common with the central or provincial government under the terms of the standstill arrangement outlined in para 1 above." What are those exceptions, sir? Excise, forest, land and water rights, and the revenue derived therefrom. This is still a constitutionally valid document, sir. It is not, as has been interpreted, subsumed by the 6th schedule, because the rest of Meghalaya also have ADCs. We have the GHADC, we have the JHADC, we have the KHADC, but in respect of the 25 Khasi states, this was the arrangement, that their powers have been clearly defined, and the exceptions to those powers have also been defined here, sir. Excise, forest, land and water rights, and the revenue derived therefrom. I must therefore plead with the Leader of the House the need that we incorporate this important historical event by incorporating the words, "Whereas the Khasi states had individually and collectively acceded to the dominion of India by signing the instrument of accession, which stated explicitly inter alia that certain rights shall be retained with them, including excise, forest, and land and water rights, and the revenue derived therefrom." Sir, Not even the British had annexed the 25 Khasi states. They had administered these Himas, never annexed them. I must also make a reference here, sir, to the fact that the Khasi states were also not princely states. We had 565 princely states across the country who enjoyed financial benefit through the privy purse till 1971, when it was abolished by the government led by Indira Gandhi. The Khasi states were not princely states. The Khasi states never signed the instrument of merger. The Khasi states only agreed to the instrument of accession. And these 25 states, if you look at the list, they also include, the last to sign was Nong Stoin in 1948. Sir, between 1947 and 48, we had signed the instrument of accession, meaning the Constitution of India came later than the instrument of accession. And to say that this is, as leaders from the opposition have expressed, fear about force being applied, I would like to say here that this is a valid document which protects the rights of the people. In 2004, sir, a matter had been brought to the cabinet to consider experimental mining of uranium. As a member of the cabinet at that point of time, I and Ba Alambor Malyang, at that point of time, had written to the then chief minister, suggesting and demanding that instead of considering experimental mining, the government should organize a study tour of the areas where mining had taken place. And that team was led by the then health minister, Mrs. Deborah Marak. I remember Saidullah Nungrum was part of it. And student representatives of the KSU, led by Samuel Jerwa and Hamlet Darling, had traveled to Jaduguda to see for themselves the conditions of people in and around that area. So I don't wish to prolong my submission, but let me say this, that while we might adopt this resolution, I still feel that we need to ingrain historical events that were part of our journey in becoming part of India. And that is, as I must stress, to make sure that we do not just close the door, we weld it properly, shut it forever. And that can only happen when the people realize that their forefathers had already executed an agreement which today should form the basis of, apart from the submissions made by the leader of the House and the leader of the opposition, let us incorporate these historical factors, because these are immutable truths that cannot be replaced, cannot be demolished, and will stand the test of time. We have stood firm on this matter for many, many years. I can only say that let us take the matter to its logical end by ensuring that we have a watertight case where we do not allow the exploitation of these mineral resources based, more importantly, on the history of the people and the land. Thank you.